Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spider-Man No Way Home review. I'm joined by Jack of all trades. We're
Howdy.
calm. We're professional. There's no outburst to be had here because we can't talk about spoilers yet. Just the beginning. Fuck you. You know why you're here. You know why you're fucking here. I'm not doing an intro where I'm like, we're gonna review this thing. Fuck you. You clicked the video. You did this. You know what's happening.
And you're safe from spoilers for the first few minutes.
Yes, for the first few minutes you're safe from spoilers, but fuck you if you think I'm gonna give a proper intro after I saw this movie. I'm broken after this movie. I'm broken in a good way, in a bad way. I don't know what life is right now.
I think I'm mostly good way at the moment.
Mostly good way. Okay. By the way, just so everyone is aware, I'm not sure how choppy the current video quality is. Could be choppy as hell, might not be choppy at all. We just wanted to get this out there. So, even though the quality probably isn't the best in the world, fuck you. That's my mantra for the episode. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. You're watching, so fuck you.
That said, if you had anything to do with the production of this movie and you're watching, thank you.
You have an exception. The quality of the video will not improve, but you are not included in the fuck you. Okay, so weirdly enough, I guess I have one of those faces that is super approachable. The guy next to me at the end of the movie was like, wow, that was something, right? And I was like, yeah, that was something. And then me and him started chatting, and I mentioned I had a podcast. And he asked, oh, are you reviewing it? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, are you going to do spoilers? And I was like, probably not at the beginning. And he was like, how are you going to review this movie without spoilers? And as I was chasing down the bus, as I was walking home, as I did all of this bullshittery to get here and review this movie for you fine people that I have said fuck you to several times already, I think I found the words without spoilers.
Okay.
It's everything you want it to be. Go see it. That's it. That is literally all I can say without spoiling anything. It's what you want it to be. It gives you the moments you want. It's fun. It's good. Is it perfect? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is it good and helps develop the Marvel Universe? Yes. Is it the most earth-shattering thing in the world? I don't know, maybe. My non-spoiler review is just, it's everything it should be, go see it.
Yeah.
Do you have one? Mortis is judging me.
I think they could have done so much less and it's still been a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, given everything they did, this is a great movie.
You know, just for a second. Oh. Jack, could you speak for a minute?
Hello.
Okay, for some reason I couldn't hear you for a second, but the capture could.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you fine. The capture got you too. I was watching it. Did you know about the Plan B if they couldn't get the villains that are in the trailer back for this movie?
I do not.
They were just gonna do Kraven the Hunter, and that's it.
Oh, if they couldn't get everything that happened in this movie, they were just going to do a Kraven story.
If it was too big, they were going to do a story similar probably to Vulture and everything, where Spider-Man fought Kraven.
I want to see that alternate timeline.
I don't.
Because I'm curious how that would work out given how the last movie ended.
I don't want to see that alternate timeline.
I know we are definitely living in the best one right now, but I'd want to see that film, and I'm curious how that timeline syncs up if Marvel were wanting to do that with Sony doing their own Kraven movie.
Here's the thing: in that timeline, DC is currently the biggest franchise in the world, and Marvel is
That
this
doesn't exist.
little mom and pop thing that's just getting started. So let's not worry about that timeline because we are clearly in the best one. I guess I should non-spoilery talk about the performances a little. I guess I'll pick out my favorite one.
Okay.
I think Holland brings it, but I gotta say, God, I was about to say someone, and I was like, is that a spoiler? So I'm not gonna say it.
It might be a spoiler depending on how many trailers people have seen. So
Okay. If you haven't seen the trailers, spoilers, but I will say that I really liked Jamie Foxx in this movie. I feel like he got the chance he didn't really get in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I liked that, like, he got a lot of dialogue, he got a lot of time devoted to him. And I'm just gonna say it, that is the best that Electro has ever looked. And when I see him get that really stupid Clover mask that I adore so much, I cry a little each time. It's beautiful. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go into spoilers?
Without going into spoilers, I think I like where this movie starts off. I like what it does with the antagonists a lot. Like, this as sort of a culmination of especially Tom Holland's Spider-Man adventure so far with the rest of the MCU. This feels like I did really like Mysterio, but this might be my favorite of the Tom Holland series.
Oh, for sure. Favorite of the Tom Holland series, absolutely. Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain. I have to concede. I want to be the... Look, I will contend that the scene with the Mysterio illusion scene is still probably one of the best scenes in the entire MCU. That is a hill I'm willing to die on. There are a lot of scenes that can probably match that in this film. I can think of one that we can't talk about yet. I can think of three that we can't talk about yet. I guess the last thing I'll say is, and this is not spoilery, but it's a little hinty. I was kind of expecting a certain, like, with Green Goblin, who is in the movie, obviously. Everybody knows about that.
You were warned.
Yeah, it's in the poster. It's in the poster right above our heads. You can see him. He's right there. Up there.
I don't know where I am on screen.
Yeah, you can't see that. Don't worry. Green Goblin kind of went a way I wasn't expecting. Not a way I'm complaining about, for the record. I did not dislike what they did with Green Goblin. In fact, I think he had the best scene in this movie. I don't want to say anything else about Green Goblin or any of the other characters because it's all riddled in spoilers. So just
as a last spoiler-free note, for context, I saw this in Inverness in the Highlands of Scotland 3 days after release. I saw Avengers Endgame in a back-to-back Infinity War straight into Endgame upon midnight. Endgame started on release day.
Okay.
Endgame, from the audience there, had one moment where everyone was cheering and clapping and crying. This movie had a solid 3, maybe 4.
So get this. I saw Endgame night it came out. We had one clap scene and one scene where Neil Burris didn't fucking care if anyone else was going to clap. Stood up, fist in the air. I can spoil Endgame. It was the scene where they say Avengers Assemble. That's when I stood up and threw my fist in the air. The scene where everybody clapped was Cap picking up the hammer.
Yeah.
I had the same thing in my theater. There were so many clap moments. There were
without getting into it.
I can't say when they start. I think everyone
Yep.
who's seen the movie can give a solid guess when they start. But
Yeah, for those who haven't seen it and want to click off, I suggest doing so soon.
we'll tell you when
But
to go.
first scale, Endgame had one round of applause from us nobodies up in the Highlands of Scotland. This movie had 4.
And a
Cheers.
couple woos from my theater.
Yeah.
And I saw this movie at 12. It wasn't a 9 o'clock showing where everyone's all hyped up for the movie. No, people were
I was
tired.
3:30 in the afternoon.
People were yawning in my theater, and then we still got cheers. And those cheers went till both end credit scenes. And yes, there are 2. I don't think it's a spoiler to tell people that.
A lot of people left after the first one, and I was... What are you doing? Come back.
You can't save those people, Jack. I've tried. A lot of times I'll be the guy to be, hey, I Googled it before the movie. There's 2. Everybody come back. But no one will listen to me. No one will listen to me, Jack. The fools.
Damn.
Ladies and gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, Jack, unless you literally... Do we want to give our ratings before going into spoilers? We can.
Yes, I think we do for those who still want to go in relatively blind.
Yeah, okay. So, well, I look, okay? I'm going to have to introduce something new here, too. Because I don't want to give it an 11. 10's not good enough. It's a 10.5. Here's the thing. That episode of Loki was you know what? Fuck it. I give it an 11. Fuck you. This is probably one of the best Marvel movies there's ever been. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. I can change my vote. Fuck you. I was literally about to be like, it's a 10.5, and then I was like, oh wait, this scene.
Yeah.
Well, what you got?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, fair.
Maximum. I do think there was one movie I liked more this year, and that's getting my 11. But this, I was debating it for a while. Solid 10 out of 10, this.
Ironically
Don't know how
enough,
they could have made it better.
The only movie I liked better than this year actually has Andrew Garfield in it. It is Tick, Tick, Boom. And I will concede that on some levels, this movie is better than Tick, Tick, Boom. Tick, Tick, Boom was just like, it kind of sang to me, and I love the music, and in a way that movie kind of, at least, it's still new, but so far it's kind of changed my outlook on things. I'm still fresh. I don't know if this movie's going to change my outlook on things.
I know, again, this is our initial thoughts the day of having seen it, so
oh, yeah.
Who knows? This time next week, we might realize we hate it, but I highly doubt that.
I mean, there was one really big plot hole I found. And if you've seen the movie, you can go into the spoiler sections with us and learn that plot hole. But if not, we're going to wait 3 seconds. I'm going to count it out. And if you're not gone, you did it to yourself. 3, 2, 1. You still here? You gone? Oh my fucking god!
It was so good!
They're in it. They're in it. They're in it.
Everyone's in it.
They're in it.
I was so amazed. We knew the Lizard was going to be in this. We knew Sandman was going to be in this. But as the movie was going, I'm like, okay, it's just the CGI, and that might be them doing the voices. But no, they got Rhys Ifans, they got Thomas Hayden Church in for this.
Yeah, I noticed that Thomas Hayden Church was Sand the whole time.
Yeah.
But, like, at the end, he's not Sand.
Yeah. I thought, okay, that's a shame they couldn't get them back. They did?
They got them all. They're all in the movie. The voices are there. Part of me is always on the inside like, man, it sucks they couldn't throw one more in there because then we would have had Sinister Six.
I mean, Venom.
Venom was technically there.
He was in it. He just couldn't be bothered showing up.
He didn't do anything. I will give you the Sinister 5.5. but I'm not giving you the Sinister Six.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to count Jameson, maybe?
There's an argument for Jameson. There's definitely an argument.
Mysterio set it all in motion. He was the fight against Doctor Strange. Yeah, there's a few people you could argue.
I do wish that at the very... And this would have been pipe dream. This never would have happened. I wish at the very end when he's like, I can't stop it. They're coming through. An army of Spider-Man villains just came in.
They almost did.
Almost. I'm just saying, dude, if, like, the reason Andrew and Toby couldn't stop Peter from attacking Green Goblin at first was because they're literally fighting an army of fucking Big Wheel and the Kangaroo.
I love, like, it was great in that moment. So me and my brother, everyone was like, oh, that's so-and-so, like, recognizing silhouettes. He was like, oh, that's a comic book rhino with the horns and the big ball. Come on, that's a comic book scorpion with the tail.
I didn't even see Rhino. The only one I was like, okay, that's somebody, was Craven. I knew I saw Craven. Craven is at the front, and he's holding a spear.
Nice. Oh, no, I saw someone with a spear. I didn't realize that was Craven. Nice.
It was Craven. Here's the thing. My friends don't watch my videos. I'm going to surprise my friend Kyle and Skylar by taking them to this movie. I will be watching that scene like a fucking hawk. Because
I can't wait for the digital release of this when everyone can just go frame by frame through that end, because that...
Oh my god, okay. There's so much to do. Okay, first of all, from a spoiler perspective, there's a good chunk of this movie that the villains are not in, that Toby and Andrew aren't in, and it's still pretty damn good. I want to say the first 30 minutes, none of them are there, and it's just Spider-Man dealing with bullshit, Spider-Man trying to find the lawyer thing, a joke about Spider-Man almost having sex, and Matt,
a great one take, that as well.
Oh yeah, that...
From Happy coming in, that keeps going.
Fucking... It's very neat to me that, like, because Hawkeye's been doing a lot of those shots too. So I wonder if that's just going to be part of the MCU going forward.
You know why that is? And because we're doing spoilers, it's because Daredevil's in it now.
Yeah, kind of, maybe.
They have to do one takes.
I mean, when Kingpin showed up in Hawkeye, I think we all kind of knew, right? We kind of knew.
I hoped. It's like, okay, if the only one we get is Vincent, I'll be disappointed, but I can live with it. I was freaking out in my chair when that cane just came into the corner of the shop.
When he caught the brick, I audibly gasped. I was like, holy shit!
I don't know what vocalizations I was making. The whole audience was, what the fuck is going on?
And then I remember when Spider-Man's like, how did you do that? And he just goes, I am a very good lawyer. Spoiler alert, chat. The rest of this review is going to be me and Jack because we haven't talked about the movie together yet. It's going to be us going, did you like that scene? I liked that scene.
Of course I liked that scene.
We better have liked that scene. We better have. Oh, my God. I love that we live in this universe. Here's the thing. And the other day I realized this. I was going through and picking characters I would love to see in the MCU, and I was like, oh, I'd love to see Beta Ray Bill, I'd love to see Gwenpool. And then I realized something. We as fans of the MCU barely ever have to ask for something, because they kind of just do it. Was anyone asking for all three Spider-Man movie? I know I wasn't, but I got it, and I love it.
I think after the first Spider-Verse, I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if in the next one they have them come in and it's just live action? No, this movie did it, and it wasn't a joke. It was dead serious. This is what we're doing. It was so good. I realized the moment they opened the portal and you see that Spider-Man silhouette turn with the massive white eyes, I'm like, that's Amazing Spider-Man 2.
So, here's the thing. I knew, because here's the thing. If they weren't in this movie, Kevin Feige or somebody needed to come out and say, listen, all jokes aside, they're not in the film. Because if they wouldn't have been in this movie, there would have been riots. Like, legit, yeah. People were so hyped for this. So my thing wasn't, I hope they're in it. My thing quickly became, because spoiler alert here for Kneale's preferences and future lists down the road, my favorite Spider-Man movie, live action-wise, before this, was the first Amazing Spider-Man. I think Garfield is great, and I love him, and everyone just shits all over him. So my big fear was, I don't want him to be the butt of the joke in this movie. And he wasn't. During that... Oh, God, it's probably the best scene in the movie. That scene where they're all on the school building.
Yeah.
And, oh, God... How do I even talk about that? Okay, first of all, my big criticism of Spider-Man in the MCU. Well, I'd really like someone to say with great power comes great responsibility. I'd really like someone to bring up Uncle Ben. I didn't even fathom the other Spider-Men do it.
No. And that it was Aunt May who said it to him instead of it being Ben, this character we've not met, but it's, we know something happened with him and everything. But doing it with Aunt May was such a change I didn't expect.
I mentioned in our last review that something got spoiled for me because I streamed the Avengers game. It was Aunt May's death.
A few people have said that. A few people have said, it's like, oh, something was spoiled for me. And now that I've seen it, they're like, yeah, it was Aunt May's death. I'm like, who's going around spreading this?
Here's the thing. It's Han Solo. It's literally, they picked one of the biggest deaths in the movie, and people want to spoil it. Because if they don't want you to know that Toby and Andrew are in the movie, because if they tell you that, you kind of already know and you'll be happy. They want you to feel bad. Like, I had someone, while the premiere came in, try to spoil the movie for me. And the premiere was still going on, so I knew their spoils were bullshit. Like, they were like, oh, Electro becomes a good guy at the end. Not really. He just kind of loses his powers. I think that's the bigger spoiler. If somebody told me, hey, the supervillains lose their powers in this movie, I would have been pissed to know that. Yeah. Because if you know that they're going to all lose their powers, it ruins a lot of the drama. Specifically, oh my god. Okay, my brain is still a little scrambled. Specifically, I had a theory going in that formula that Norman was making, I thought he was literally creating a thing to kill Osborn and make him just Goblin.
Yeah, I thought that for a moment. I was like, oh, just the one of us. I'm like, oh, okay, he's doing the opposite. Which then, I think he might have.
Did Aunt stab him with it?
Well, because I think she does and nothing happens. So maybe it wasn't finished or something, but then when Toby comes in, he makes it work.
That's true. I also find it interesting that Toby, sort of in the background, has been working on undoing the Goblin serum.
Yeah, he says, like, oh, it's something I've thought about for a long time.
To me, that kind of reads as, hey, this shit killed Harry. I don't want a hobgoblin to happen. I'm going to learn about the serum. Like,
and also,
I can come up with my own story.
And I'm not over it yet.
Yeah.
Which was such. I think so. I think I saw somewhere online someone say this, and as it happened, it was, oh, maybe it won't, maybe it will. Oh, okay, it did. Everything happened so fast, but it's MJ's fall in the trailer. It's, oh, okay, cool. So we have all three Spider-Men. That means Andrew can redeem himself by catching and saving the girl. Peter can do something, but the two previous ones will have moments to make up for the greatest failing.
Yeah.
And it's, when Tom Holland goes off, okay, he's about to catch her. But then Goblin comes in. And then Andrew goes and he manages to catch her. That was fucking great. Are you okay? And she asks him, are you okay? As he's starting to well up and do that.
Yeah.
And
That
Toby had his moment. I think his equivalent of that was curing Goblin, catching the glider, stopping him getting impaled, like what happened before. It was saving Norman Osborn.
yeah,
I think was the moment they made his greatest failing.
it was it was literally avenging Harry's father.
Hmm.
Also, I want to make an argument. Here's the thing. I did not want him in this movie, but why didn't New Goblin show up by the rules of this movie? Because he knew who Spider-Man was, and
Well, they say that more of them would have come through, but Strange closed the spell in time.
well, did Electro know who Spider-Man was in his? No, confirmed he didn't know because he like has that scene where he's like, "I thought Spider-Man would have been black."
Yeah. Huh. Good point.
That is one of the plot holes. Here's the biggest.
Okay.
So I don't want to
I really
ruin.
liked Electro in this, so I'm willing to let that slide. Continue.
Oh yeah, no, I can forgive even this big plot hole too. So you know how Doctor Strange just throughout the multiverse erased Peter Parker?
Yes.
Doesn't that mean that in
Or
Andrew
at
and
least in this
Toby's
one. At least in this one universe.
the way they according to Peter, the way they stop the other villains from coming through is Strange erases the whole multiverses, everybody who was about to come through, all of their memories of Spider-Man. It's not just their
Oh, Peter Parker.
universe. Yeah, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So doesn't
Okay.
that mean that in the Toby and Andrew universe, no one knows who they are?
I missed that if it was throughout the whole. Again, we're both definitely going to watch this multiple times.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I missed if that was the case, if it is across the multiverse. And if it is, there's already some problems that causes. Like, Doc Ock was taken from. It was such a good moment when they specify this. Doc Ock was taken from his universe at the moment he had his claw around Peter's neck. That is during the final fight.
Yeah, before he
The
turns
exact moment
good.
as he's convincing him to turn good again. Right before he ends up dying. And same with Electro, it's the moment right before he dies. So if Doc Ock now goes back and has full control over the arms again and is like, oh yeah, I'm all buddy-buddy with Peter Parker, the films would all end differently and the timelines wouldn't work.
He still killed people.
So what happens in universes beyond this one at the moment?
I remember.
I don't think matters too much.
Well, here's the thing. I remember Sony saying forever ago they were open to the idea. It was either Raimi or Sony. They were open to the idea of doing a Spider-Man 4. Here's the thing.
I think Raimi's wanted to do it for a while.
I almost promise you now, we're going to get not only a Spider-Man 4, we're going to get another Amazing Spider-Man. The popularity of this movie, this is going to make all the money, right?
I don't know. I don't know what the situation is with the rest of the world, but Britain is very much cracking down on everything because of the Omicron variant of COVID and shutting down a lot of places. So I don't know how well this movie's going to perform long term because of COVID.
That's true. I do remember night one. I just read this. Apparently, opening night, 50 million, which blows all the other movies coming out this year out of the water.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll wait until like Monday because this is still the opening weekend.
I'm just saying the list of highest grossing movies in December are in order from greatest to least. Top 5 here: Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars: Rogue One, and the first Hobbit movie. I think Disney's going to go ahead and knock out that non-Disney movie at the end there. And maybe actually push one of the Star Warses down there. I am very confident that this movie is going to be... This could very well be the first post-COVID movie to make $1 billion. I could see it. I mean, oh my god, I just want to talk about it more.
I
Like,
know. I'm really scatterbrained at the minute. Like, we need to talk about this bit. We need to talk about that bit.
like literally when I put my hands over my head and just yelled, that wasn't me faking for the funny. I was containing something. Oh my god. Okay. Best scenes. Okay. One of the best scenes, in my opinion, professional. Oh my god, that shit with Goblin.
Yeah. Not with Goblin.
Not with Goblin?
With Norman Osborn.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's just talk about Norman in general. How did you feel about the fact that he was like kind of good guyish in this?
Great. I loved it.
I loved it. We didn't really get to see that side in the Raimi movies. They kind of play with it a little, like ever so slightly.
You get one or two scenes
of like, I just rewatched them as well because
same.
Friggin' Norman's talking to Harry and he has a moment where he's like, I'm sorry, son, I want to make things right. That felt like a genuine, I'm your father, I want to help, and Goblin's gonna fuck that up to me. But in this, there are so many scenes where Peter and Norman, like, Norman is the only one who Peter actually walks into the Sanctum Sanctorum with.
Yeah. And it's like, as you were saying, Norman's like relationship with Harry here, he realizes in this one is like, I'm here, my son's gone, I need to get back to my son.
I miss my son. Oh
yeah.
My god. It was, oh my god.
And him off is like saying to Peter, like, I'm smart. It's like, oh, if you ever find yourself in another universe, look me up. I'll give you a job.
He's laughing. He's making jokes with Peter.
Yeah.
And then he fucks him up. Oh my god. When Goblin comes back and he is just beating, that purple hoodie gets ripped to sunders. He is just beating him through the floorboards, throwing him around. We get to see that Goblin strength. I remember thinking at the end, wow, that was kind of a lame end to Norman. But then I was like, but that scene in the middle. And I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah. He got plenty. And I love that he's wearing this purple hoodie that he just like found on the street or stole from another homeless person or something. But then as it gets torn up, it's like, oh no, this is the purple hood that the Goblin always has in the comics. This is how we're doing that.
Here's the thing, and I always ruin these things for myself. I really do. When she stabs him with the needle, and this is right before Aunt May dies. When she stabs him, and Goblin goes, it didn't work, I wanted his skin to turn green and go, just a cosmetic change, and give us a big Green Goblin smile. That would have made it perfect for me if he just turned green. That would have been the whole 9 miles for me.
Yes, in like, I can see them doing that and it looking really bad, but done right, that would have been phenomenal.
I'm just saying, look at Nebula. Look how good she looks.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Just where Goblin is by far the main villain of the film, and like...
Oh, yeah.
If we don't get another Green Goblin, this is good enough, but imagine how fucked it would be if Peter discovered there is a Norman Osborn in his world, and he becomes Goblin too, and he has to fight a variant of the man who killed his aunt. I'm just...
That'd be crazy, but I don't think so, because we got a confirmation in this movie there is no Oscorp.
No Oscorp
in the MCU.
Yet. Who knows, man? Who knows? And
I had a moment in this. I think the one disappointment I had, I'm ultimately not that bothered about because it was better than what I had expected, is in the scene when the two Spider-Men are asking where would Peter go. It's like, oh, for me it was the Empire State Building, for me it was whatever the other building was. So where would he go? I'm like, a skyscraper in New York. Oh, are we going to see the new Avengers Tower,
I
Baxter
thought the
Building.
same fucking thing.
Thought that, but then going to the school and having the three friends hug and just cry it out, and no, never mind. It was better. It was better doing it that way.
I mean, I thought the same thing. I literally thought Avengers Tower. He's going to Avengers Tower. And they didn't, and I was like, well, okay. Like, it didn't bug me that he didn't go to Avengers Tower.
But now having like thought about it, I'm like, it's better that he doesn't, because had he gone there, then like, what was it? What's his connection? He never went there that we've seen before.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like Tony's dead. Seemingly someone else owns the building. Other than a fan service moment, which this movie is chock full of, so it didn't need.
This is such a weird movie. Anytime I try to be critical of it, I feel guilty. Because I'm like, it almost makes me feel like a stubborn, like a spoiled brat when I try to complain about the movie. Because literally I'm like, okay, well here's a criticism I have, and then I'm like, how can you feel that way? Look at all those cool scenes with Sandman, you bastard. How the fuck can you say that?
My one big criticism of this movie that isn't even that big, my one criticism of this movie is at a few moments the audio mixing could be better. There's moments of ADR, there's lines like Peter says during the fight with Doctor Strange that I'm like, that line is way louder than the rest of the dialogue. That was added in post. Please even that out for the Blu-ray, please.
I didn't notice it.
2 audio moments. So that's it. No more complaints. Brilliant movie.
I saw the movie in IMAX because you got to see it on the biggest screen, man. You just gotta. And here's the thing: IMAX is a little more expensive. When I take people to see this movie, I'm taking them in IMAX. I don't care. I don't care that it's more expensive.
If I had the chance, and if I get the chance, I am going to go see this in IMAX, because I saw it on the biggest screen we have in Inverness. It was great. I want that IMAX experience.
With all 3 Spider-Men swinging in IMAX. Oh my fucking god.
The swinging in tandem and catching each other and propelling each other forward. It was so good.
Everyone makes this joke, and I have never gotten it. If I have ever been close to being sexually aroused in a movie theater, it was there. It was that scene.
Fair.
I always hear people be like, oh, this scene is so hot. And I'm always like, it's a movie. But I was like, damn, that was shot well. Oh my god. They don't fuck anybody over. They don't fuck anyone over. Sandman is in the movie. He does exactly what you want the Raimi Sandman to do. He wants to get back to his daughter. He is the only villain to help Spider-Man at first and assist in fighting another villain.
Yeah.
Sandman, weirdly enough, to me, and here's my, I guess, problem with the film. This is my one nitpick that is actually an issue, I guess. Sandman's motivation didn't make a ton of sense to me when he becomes a villain again. Because Sandman's whole goal in this entire movie is, I want to go back home. He's one of the only villains that does want to go back. So, it's a situation, and we don't know when he, air quotes, died or anything. They intentionally avoid talking about that with Lizard and Sandman because they didn't die in their movies. So, I have no complaints over the action scenes and the character moments with these characters. It just felt a little weird that Sandman, who this whole time was like, I'll help you, Spider-Man. I'll be your friend. I'll do this so I can go home.
Yeah.
Ended up being one of the biggest people fighting at the end and still teamed up with Lizard.
At the end of Spider-Man 3, it's like, okay, we've made peace. We're cool. Mm. I assume at some point after that he gets plucked into this universe. And it's, oh, Spider-Man, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not. Oh, okay, I'm a wee bit wary of you now. And then when the rest of the villains are wanting to destroy the box so they don't have to go back, he's now just trying to get to the box before everyone else. So he can get back.
Norman definitely had a. You could see Electro was buying it when Norman was saying, "Look at these gifts. Don't give up your gifts." It kind of felt like they were supposed to team up more, right? Because weirdly enough, also I have no idea what Lizard's end goal was in this. Because Lizard never
Turn everyone
finds
into
out.
lizards.
Yeah, it's mentioned.
Yeah.
My favorite line in this movie, favorite joke. How'd you get your powers? I fell into a vat of electric eels. Really? I fell into this thing full of sand. You gotta be careful where you fall.
Yes. There are so many good little lines like that. There's the line there. There's the great power, great responsibility between the Spider-Man, but that's sort of like because that's based on other things. But it's like when they sort of all look when Connors first talks to this, they're like, "The dinosaur can talk."
So,
Right off well.
did
Moments of
you...
like Otto and Norman having known each other, because that doesn't come up in the Sam Raimi trilogy.
I mean, it's neat
They both recognize and call each other by name.
It's neat to me that there was no dialogue like that between Kurt Connors and Otto. Because, again, I just rewatched these movies. The reason Peter meets him is his dimensions, the Maguire dimensions, Kurt Connors, introduces him to Otto Octavius. So the second Kurt Connors' name started getting thrown around, I really thought Otto was going to be like, Connors? And they were going to talk about the other dimension stuff.
That would have been fun.
Lizard didn't even get a fight scene, man. Like at the beginning, he gets a couple at the end, but
Yeah, it seemed to be. I think so. When the multiverse first sort of breaks apart and everything, we see the sort of purple, cloudy mist stuff around everyone, and Doctor Strange spots a white figure turn and look. I think that had a tail, so I assume that was Lizard that he saw, and then that's why he goes to the sewers and meets him and catches him.
yeah.
I wasn't sure who that was. I think it's Lizard.
Doctor Strange definitely mentioned he fought Lizard.
Yes, he said that, but there's like at the end we have all the white sort of silhouetted figures. You see one of them right at the start when the multiverse first breaks, and I think that's Lizard.
You know, it wouldn't have bothered me none if at the very if there would have been like an extended cut of this movie where we saw Doctor Strange versus the Lizard.
I mean, speaking of extended cuts, Spider-Man 2.1, the extended edition.
What is in that? What? I've never seen that. What's the extra scenes?
Including never before seen footage. It's just some of the like deleted scenes, I think.
Oh, that's fair.
2 brand new scenes, 8 minutes of extra footage. Yeah, I couldn't tell you which scenes it is, but
I was a very
this is my copy of Spider-Man 2 from years ago.
I was a very nerdy kid. I probably saw it once forever ago and then never again. Oh my god. Okay, calm. Okay.
Yep.
I think that, like, arguably, the argument could be made that, like, if each individual villain got their own movie, we could have seen more. I would make the counter argument that they make up for that because we get to see all the villains talk to each other and hang out.
100%.
Like, the fact that friggin' Lizard keeps saying, like, oh no, the Lizard plan would have worked out. I can give you a new look, Max Dillon. And, like, Sandman is probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. I loved how he looked, and at the very end, he was in the comic-accurate costume, and his hands still in sand. It's just so cool.
The green striped shirt. He had that in the Raimi ones.
It's cool to see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man fighting Green Goblin. It's cool to see all of these characters that never in a million years would I have imagined would actually cross over. Each kind of get an ending. Max kind of makes peace with Spider-Man, and it seems like he's gonna live a normal life when they go back.
Yeah.
I don't know how in one film you end the current Spider-Man trilogy, you end 3 other ones that none of them got solid endings because they were neither of them supposed to end. And you bring all of these villains to a natural arc at the end.
Yeah. That's the thing, I'm like, this one movie did so much more with Jamie Foxx's Electro than the original Amazing Spider-Man 2 did. And even then, like, from the trailers and promo stuff, it's like, okay, cool, he's got a new design. But when he first manifests, it's still the blue body and everything, and he's sort of patching, he's pulsing that color as he turns back into sort of his human look again. I'm so glad they didn't just ignore the not so good bits. They still took these characters and just progressed them, evolved them.
I did hear an argument be made that somebody once said they wanted there to be somebody from the Holland universe to join these villains, whether that be Mysterio or Vulture. And to me, that criticism does make sense because, like, it is Spider-Man going up against these villains from different movies. However, the reason I think that it kind of justifies itself is specifically with Goblin, he kind of becomes Holland's villain in this movie.
Yes.
Like, Otto and Norman kind of really push themselves towards Spider-Man of the Avengers universe.
It's like, I still want to see, I sort of want to see an MCU, a Holland universe Goblin and a Holland universe Doc Ock. But it's like, you're not going to top these ones. So don't bother.
Here's the thing. I have a solid theory. I think they're going to do Hobgoblin. And I do think Ned's going to turn out to be a villain. I had this pitch forever ago where when the snap happened. I had this pitch that for Spider-Man 2, instead of doing Mysterio, Ned shouldn't have gotten snapped away, and when Tom Holland Spider-Man came back, Ned's Hobgoblin, and he's like a criminal, and that would be an interesting dynamic between the two characters. But for what we got, they're suggesting that Ned is going to have magical powers. So imagine like a magical goblin.
Yeah. I don't know what they'll do with Ned now, because, I mean, the joke, Stephen was like, oh, sort of tingling in my fingers times, like, see a doctor. Funny. Good lines. And then I'm actually managing it with a sling ring. Okay, great fun. With the cloak of levitation as well at the end.
I've heard a couple people don't like that Ned got the magic, and I gotta be real. It is a little weird that it's like the grand introduction to these Spider-Men is Ned uses the sling ring. That's a little weird, but I don't care.
I'm totally fine with it. It was such a cool moment in the theater just to have everyone start realizing it as it's happening.
Here's the thing. I'm going to go through how I review stuff again, because I want to justify my 11. I care about the sanctity of the Marvel Universe, and if this improves it, which it absolutely did. I care about if it spoke to me and made me feel things. If it was overall good. And finally, did it do the characters justice? Yes on all of that. And the reason I'm giving an 11 is it did one more thing. It did the impossible, in my perspective. You do not get what this movie did. Ever. What happened was impossible. Those weren't Marvel movies. Those weren't MCU movies that came out, is what I mean. Those were Sony Pictures Spider-Man movies of 2 different franchises that intentionally distanced themselves from each other, and Marvel went, we're going to take those, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like this has never been done before.
Like at the end of this movie, when just at the credits at the end, when it's okay, well, now we're going to take a minute. Black screen with just the Sony logo going on it. I'm like, you know what? Thank you. I remember this time. What was it? 3 years ago now or something. Whenever Far From Home came out, and then suddenly Sony were going to end their contract with Disney.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to get a follow-up to this.
Jesus
I
Christ,
don't care
could you imagine
how much money Disney gave them. Don't care how much they couldn't have possibly said no to the new contract negotiation, whatever. Thank you, Sony, for this, for letting Marvel do this.
Thank you, Sony, for taking a step back and letting Kevin Feige play with the toys. Dude, oh my god, here's the thing. There is famously now a video of me and my friend Pat waiting hours for the second Spider-Man trailer, and then us just shitting all over it because we were like, why didn't you show Tobey and Andrew? We know they're in the movie. I'm so glad they didn't show any of Tobey and Andrew's scenes.
Yeah. I was ecstatic the moment you saw Andrew in that pose from that leaked, photoshopped, behind-the-scenes image.
Which, by the way, even yesterday I was arguing with somebody about whether or not that was real. I've always been in the camp of real. It's in the fucking movie. You can see it.
But you can't tell people that. Spoilers. They need to see it themselves.
It's a spoiler. I'm not going to tell anyone. God, here's the thing, and this is why I'm letting a lot of it out here. We can't tell anyone about this.
I know.
That's the worst part. We can't talk about it yet.
I have to go to work tomorrow.
You have to go to work
and
tomorrow.
Two other people will have seen it, and it'll just be the three of us, like, unable to talk about it except in solidarity.
I have to stream tonight. What else am I going to talk about?
I mean, if you're streaming the new Five Nights at Freddy's game, it seems like there's a lot you can dig into with that.
I mean, that's fair. Point taken, but seriously, though. How do I not look my friend in the eye who has, like, been this whole time, like, I really hope they're in it, I really hope they're in it. How do I not look him in the eye and say, your worries are over?
Just say to them that you will not be discussing this movie, because if you do, you will accidentally spoil it.
I think what I'm going to say is what I said at the beginning during the non-spoiler. I think I'm going to say, this movie gives you everything you want, and then I'll give a little wink.
Cool.
Oh my god. Okay.
I keep glossing over this because it happens at the start of the movie and there's so much else in it. But we got Matt Murdock.
Daredevil's in the MCU.
I can't believe he's actually in this.
Daredevil is in the MCU. Daredevil is going to be in something later because you don't
Charlie
just
Cox
do that.
Daredevil is in the MCU.
Here's the thing. I guarantee you, next episode of Hawkeye, we're going to get directions of where some of this is going. Like, we are going to see
next episode of Hawkeye. What was the final shot of this movie?
Final shot of this movie was Spider-Man swinging over the ice skate rink that we know is going to be the final battle.
He's swinging over Rockefeller Center with the Christmas lights and the Christmas tree up.
I also wonder what exactly is going to happen with some of these characters, because I wonder what extent everyone forgot. Because Spider-Man is still remembered in the MCU. So I wonder...
Everyone knows Spider-Man is a character.
Everyone knows Spider-Man.
They know all that, but they don't know that Peter exists.
Everyone knows Spider-Man. Does that mean that Clint will have memories of Spider-Man? Does that mean that the other characters know they fought alongside Spider-Man and he was there, but they can't remember who he is? Also, what does this mean for a future Avengers movie?
It means we have that sort of status quo of almost the Justice League where certain characters don't know who other people's real identities are, I think.
I'm just saying, we're about to see a very angsty Peter Parker once that Venom suit gets on him, because he has a lot to be pissed about.
I really want a clearer shot of the new suit.
Same. But on the back, you could see the big red spider, and the spider in the middle looked bigger too.
Yeah, and it's like bright blue and it's sort of sparkly, Christmassy looking. And I love people can finally shut up about Peter Parker not having his own suit, so they're all Stark Tech. Sewing machine, fabric. He made this one. There you are.
I
Shut
hope
the
he
fuck
kept the mask though, with the eyes. I hope
Yes.
we still get expressive Spider-Man eyes.
I feel like because even with his the homecoming suit, the hoodie and the red balaclava, even that one had the adjustable eyes. So
Also,
surely he still got those.
I want to give a special thank you to whoever's cutting the checks in this movie, because I guarantee you there was a cut of this script where Toby and Andrew only showed up for the final battle. Thank God that didn't happen, because I think I would have been upset if it was just the final battle. Which, that final battle is glorious. But I would argue that the scene where they're talking about Uncle Ben and Gwen is so much better. Also, it just occurred to me that Ben and Gwen rhyme.
Yes, they do.
That is ironic. I lost my Uncle Ben. I lost my girlfriend Gwen.
And I love he's like, I lost Gwen, and he then explains that by saying, she was my MJ, and they both go, okay, yeah, we get this. Even before that, again, when it's Ned opening the portals and they come through, just the both of them playing off Andrew Garfield is like, prove it. He was so good.
Crawl on
and then
the
when Toby
ceiling.
comes through, they both have that moment of realization, and they both do the exact same move, shooting, dodging.
New favorite MCU character, Ned's Lola. Ned's grandma.
Yeah.
I just love how it was like, my Lola asks if you could please clean up that spider web.
While you're up there.
And then Andrew and Toby are like, oh, I'm sorry, we can clean this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and this is what's sad. You know there was also a version of the script where it's like, and Toby and Andrew are in scene 1. And we didn't get that, but it's Tom Holland's movie, and I'm very glad that we got them as much as we did.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's so many good scenes.
That was more of them than I was expecting.
I cured Connors once. I can do it again.
Yeah. That was great. It's the 3 Spider-Man doing sciencey stuff in a Midtown High classroom. That a missed opportunity that I think they could have done, which I think just for me would have been great just for me, is when they're trying to close the portal and the lizard comes through into the school and chases them back out again. Is if they'd gone through a wall or through a door into the library again. Just to have him wreck Midtown High's library and then back to the fight.
I would have also loved if there was like a picture of Stan Lee on the wall or something. Like, it's okay.
There will be. I don't know where the Stan Lee cameo in this was, but it's 100% in there.
I mean, Stan and Ditko, they made this character, and this is... Oh my god. Here's the thing, I'm sitting here and I'm like, is this better than Spider-Verse? And in my head, I want to say yes, because I have more of an attachment to this. But also, in my head, I want to say no, because Spider-Verse felt important. And while this feels epic and amazing, I don't know if it feels important. Does it?
I think, for me, it's similar to, again, this movie is a 10 out of 10 for me. Spider-Verse is one of those very rare 11s. So they're close. They're pretty close. They're both on the edge between a 10 and an 11. But
I do have to contend, though, like, I had expectations that, in my opinion, were pretty high, and they were all met.
Yeah.
I mean, friggin'... God.
Again, I'm still amazed that they got... specifically Rhys Ifans back to play Kurt Connors, because it's like, okay, the lizard is here. He's just being a sort of monster, growling and stuff. Cool. That's about what I expected. But then he starts talking, and it's like,
And
it is. Yes, it is.
And Sandman got more of time to shine too, because if you remember Spider-Man 3, those villains kind of just show up and disappear. Like, friggin' New Goblin has a scene where he fights Peter, hits his head, forgets he's New Goblin. Sandman has a scene where he fights Peter, goes in the water, he's gone for some of the movie, New Goblin comes back, then he gets out of the movie, Sandman comes back, teams up with Venom, New Goblin comes in, movie ends. Here, theoretically, if Flint really wanted to stay hidden, he could have just, like, stayed in the dirt for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But no, he was like...
He could have done what Eddie did and just chill at a bar for a bit.
Technically, any of them could.
Yeah.
But...
Which is... Oh, what was it? I was almost expecting that with Green Goblin. That, okay, we saw him at the start. We get a scene of him sort of on the street and he smashes the helmet. I was like, okay, now he's just going to be on the streets for the rest of the movie. We're not going to know where he is and he could show up at any time. But no, what they did was so much better.
And he almost kills Toby. Sandman almost kills Toby. He nearly suffocates him to death, which is awesomely sadistic. Imagine
by filling up the hollow space within the Statue of Liberty.
I'm just saying, imagine a universe where Spider-Man lost and someone finds Tobey Maguire's corpse in the Statue of Liberty covered in sand.
Oh, I love when Sandman sits down on Happy's couch and just to brush the sand off.
And even though Happy didn't get a ton of screen time in this movie, Happy has a really good scene at the end too.
Yeah. Like, this was so good.
Yeah, and there's so much to think about with it. Like, you can really dig... I do think of the live-action Spider-Man movies. Look, I love the first Amazing Spider-Man. That was very high tier for me. Like, I think specifically, I really love the scene where he's fighting Lizard, and Lizard goes, "Poor Peter Parker." And...
I swear they said that line. They just didn't have him spitting.
They had him say, "Peter Parker."
That was it.
And General Stacy comes out and shoots him, and he's like, he's not alone, and that final action scene is so good. But I can't ignore the fact that these characters just came into the MCU, and they stole the show, and yet Tom Holland, still at the end, made it his story. But it wasn't just his story. It's so hard to describe this movie because it is the ending of all the other trilogies. It is the ending of this Spider-Man trilogy. And honestly, it very well could be the ending of this character, which I don't want it to be. But Tom Holland has mentioned he wants to take a break from acting to start a family. If this is the finale, which I don't want it to be, but if it is... could we have done any better?
No.
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 Okay, so here's my crackpot theory. You know how you brought up that you saw a character when the spell first happens and there is one visible character, you thought that was Lizard?
Mm.
I do want to bring up...
Retroactively, I have no clue who it was in the moment.
I want to bring up that I don't know either. I wasn't looking very in-depthly. I, just on first glance, was like, was that the Beyonder? And who the Beyonder is, I don't know if you've seen Spider-Man the Animated Series. Essentially, the Beyonder is very involved in Secret Wars. He takes villains and heroes, puts them on this planet that he calls Battleworld.
Yeah.
And he wants to see which is better. I wonder if we're building... because there's also a version of that story in the comics where he does the same thing, but with characters from different universes. I wonder if theoretically we could get a Battleworld at some point. And if maybe, fingers crossed, Toby and Andrew get to come back. Just imagine Toby and Andrew fighting Ben Affleck's Daredevil while Patrick Stewart, Professor X, watches. If we're doing the multiverse, we're doing the multiverse.
I might have to walk out of the cinema and take a breath and then come back if that happens.
Meanwhile, X-Men Origins Daredevil is just being stabbed to death by normal Daredevil. I mean, Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Oh my god, what is his movie gonna be if this is the Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, think of all the jokes you can crack from this now.
I remember forever
Speaking
ago.
of which,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
I was surprised we didn't get a Bully Maguire reference.
Yeah.
I didn't need it. You see, the problem is I'm realizing the opportunity I have here where I can just talk about this movie all I want. So I literally want to talk about this movie forever, because the second we in these cameras, you and I are sworn to secrecy. We can't tell anybody about this, because everyone needs to have the experience we had.
Yeah.
My god. Oh my god. Okay.
What did you think of
Yeah?
the enhanced suit, I think is what we're calling it, the black and red suit plus the nanotech that he gets back from Otto?
Here's the thing. I have never been upset at Spider-Man for getting Stark Tech. The thing I have been getting a little upset about, though, is it really seems like they don't want Spider-Man to wear a blue costume. Like, every chance they take, they push him out of that costume. Like, for example, technically, besides the Mysterio hallucination, Spider-Man doesn't wear the blue suit really at all in the second movie. He wears it at the very beginning at the feast meeting, I think.
Yeah.
But then from there, it's either the Night Monkey suit, the enhanced suit, or the Iron Spider suit.
Hmm.
I liked the suits in this movie fine. I don't care about any of them compared to that final suit that you were talking about, where he just looks so good. I'm with you. Not only do I need to see that suit better, I need the merch to be of that suit, please.
Yep. No, I like the black and red one because that is one of like the Ditko designs from back in the day, I think.
Mm.
That one was cool, sort of at the end for Far From Home, and that was different.
Mm.
And I loved. That's a wee tangent. I'm gonna go on after I finish this thought. Just turn it inside out. It's the black and gold, like we saw when he was making it. That was cool. That was one of the things I called from the trailer when we see that suit. I'm like, oh no, that's just it inside out. We've seen that before. And like the exposed wiring all over it was great because it is just that suit inside out. Great. I remember being a little concerned that it was like, oh, we're just slapping a gold emblem over this previous suit and calling it a new one. No, that is literally what it was. Never mind, I'm fine. But no, this new one, the sort of bright red and bright sort of sky blue.
Mm.
That's like when you get just a Spider-Man toy, not an MCU Spider-Man toy, a comic book, TV show Spider-Man toy, or merch or something. It's that.
When you think
It's
of
that
Spider-Man,
with the big red spider on the back, the bright blue.
when I saw the very first trailer, I actually thought that costume, the golden one, was an Electro fighting costume, because it did look a little rubbery, and I remember thinking, oh well, he made this suit so he could combat Electro better, and that's really neat. I still like how it looks inside out, and it's just there so they can make toys. That's the reason he did it. But it is a very creative way to introduce a new costume without introducing a new costume.
And I love the reason for it is he couldn't get a stain off.
And then May does.
Yeah, yeah, that was the whole reason he goes there. It's like, oh yeah, sure, he gets the call anyway from May, being like, oh, one of the people you're looking for just showed up. But she'd said, it's like, oh, just bring the suit here and I'll clean it.
When I was a
Yeah.
kid, I oftentimes would like get acrylic paint on my clothes. That shit don't come out. That shit never came out. What the fuck did she do to that Spider-Man outfit that got that out? I don't. This might be the biggest plot hole in the movie. Bullshit movie. I ain't having that shit. Also, probably
Um,
another great joke. Did you have a best friend in your universe? Yeah, he went evil and tried to kill me, and he died in my arms. Ned just walks away.
yeah,
I want.
like slowly and really sort of cautiously.
I think that scene was cut because I wanted him to look over to Andrew and go about, "How about you? Did you have a best friend?" And him go, "Oh yeah, he killed my girlfriend." He turned into a
You
guy.
can see like Andrew looking back at them as they're saying that as well. He's like, yeah, same.
Oh my god, dude! I could like really do. If they do Spider-Man 4, it's clear they're doing the Venom saga, which we have never seen done well on the big screen. I do think that is the natural step to take. But here's the thing, and I gotta bring this up. I would really just love it if we could get a whole movie of it's Peter, it's Toby, it's Andrew. We're going to go help. We're gonna go do Spider-Verse stuff.
Honestly, because of them doing it in this movie, and the fact that we're getting a Spider-Verse part 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
I think we are due to see these three in Spider-Verse.
I, you know what? I fucking agree. Because here's the thing: if Spider Verse is truly like going to top this, how do you do that without including those three? You know, like
It's already canon.
mm-hmm.
I mean, infinite multiverse, everything's canon. But no, it is already directly canon.
They even
Because
reference
Venom shows
Miles.
up in this, and the first Venom movie's post-credit scene was just, meanwhile, in another universe.
Yeah, and if you want to throw. Here's the thing: did it piss you off what happened with Tom Hardy? Because apparently a couple people were pissed about that.
A little bit, because I was expecting him to be the secret sixth, boom, Sinister Six now that he's here.
Mm. I
But then, when he didn't show up, and I'm like, oh, I'm not disappointed. He'll probably be in the end credits. And that end credits scene was so in character for
yeah.
this Eddie Brock and this Venom that I have no complaints.
I definitely don't want to ruin the movie for myself, but I did have a fan theory right before the movie came out, and I was looking at my friend Pat, who was in the Black Widow review, and I was like, "Hey Pat, what if the final scene of this movie is Doctor Strange unable to stop the multiverse villains from coming in?" But then my dog is barking at my brother. But then after that happens, all the spider people come in. And I was like, what if that scene where Tom Holland is beaten and bloody, Venom just jumps up and goes, "We like you," and then gives him the black Spider-Man suit, and the final battle he wears that. Again, I don't want to ruin the movie. It's great, but like you're always gonna think of what could have been.
Yeah, my biggest what could have been, just because it's the sort of thing that's like, I'm spoiled having grown up and obsessed over Gravity Falls for this, where, no, we're setting you up for this, we're putting out publicity and fake behind the scenes and stuff like that. I wish, because it's when Peter goes off, they've heard, okay, there's this flying guy near a military base. Like, oh, yeah, that's probably Norman flying like we saw, military tech, cool. And then there's the electric pylons. I'm like, okay, so this is where we saw Electro. He's wearing the suit inside out. This is where he meets Electro.
Mm.
But then when you first see that thing shift in the foreground, it's like, oh, this is Sandman. You see something move in the background. It's like, this is Sandman. My brain immediately went, wouldn't it be so cool if this is just the Sandman scene? There's no Electro in this. It's just the Sandman scene. And the thing is, here's Peter, here's Spider-Man, wearing a black suit.
Mm-hmm.
At what point in the story is this Sandman from?
Oh, yeah,
Because
that's
this could have
true.
gone very differently.
That is true if he comes back and he just goes, "You're still wearing black?" That would
Or,
have
you
been
know, if
interesting.
it's Sandman plucked from that moment when he got washed down the drain, he's just had his face destroyed by a train by Spider-Man.
I mean, everybody was saying, "How did Sandman and Lizard die? Are they going to address that in the movie?" They do not. They don't
They do
address it at
not.
all.
They almost make a joke out of it, and I'm fine with that.
There is a scene that's kind of dramatic where Lizard is just screaming, "Max, do you know if I died?"
Yeah,
Like, he seems pretty tense about it. Which,
because similar to Sandman, it's like Connors' sort of motivation for getting his arm back and doing all this was, I can't. Well, I think it was a deleted scene. Was I can't hug my son.
mhm. I remember that scene, dude.
Yeah,
That was fucked. I love
yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Saying that, I suddenly wish there was a scene of, again, more just this movie's amazing. But wouldn't this tiny? We're so spoiled. We're
We're
like, wouldn't this
spoiled.
tiny little thing have been great? Wouldn't it be great if Sandman and if the two of them had a moment of like, yeah, yeah, my kid. I was trying, yeah, yeah.
Kevin Feige needs to
Good
hit us
luck.
on the nose with a newspaper and say, "No. Look at Tobey Maguire. Look at Andrew Garfield. No. No." And we deserve it.
Yeah, like honestly, I was trying to look up what the Marvel like Phase Four schedule is, whatever the next film is. Next two films could be absolutely horrific. Next two movies can be DC Suicide Squad level, and I will still forgive Marvel because this one was so good that I can survive two bad ones now. Give us another Captain Marvel, and in my opinion, another Black Widow. Fine,
And
this one is good enough to carry me through.
I feel like we're due for an announcement of something because, like,
Well,
mm,
I just remembered what the next one is actually. The final post-credit scene.
Doctor Strange, baby.
Yeah. Was did you know that, was that spoiled for you that there was a trailer at the end?
So here's the thing. That was something I heard, and
Okay.
it was confirmed for me. So I went, you know what? And this is not something I usually do, but I was like, you know what? And I messaged my cousin, and I was like, "Hey, you don't care about the Spider-Man movie, right?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Watch this. Tell me if there are spoilers for it." He said, "Nope. I watched that trailer before the movie came out."
Okay. Because I think I remember it might have been you. I don't know who it was, but I remember someone saying, at least, wouldn't it be cool if? I know when that happened, I was like, oh wait, this is the trailer. This is just the trailer. Oh my god.
It might have been me. I
Mm.
don't know. I remember thinking at one point the final credit should be Doctor Strange related. Because he's
Yeah.
in the fucking
It's the
movie.
Doctor Strange will return. Yeah.
I, uh, I, I don't
Which is
know how
interesting.
much we
It's not.
want
It's
to.
not. It's not a Spider-Man will return, which is the sort of thing you'd expect.
Yeah, I don't know if Spider Man will return. They kind of leave it open to. Weirdly enough, they kind of leave it open to close, and they
Hmm.
kind of leave it closed to open. That being said, that Venom symbiote is in the MCU, so if you're not doing another Spider-Man movie, you better put that fucker on someone.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was thinking. I mean, you should have it on Peter. That's where this should be going. But also, it's already got the Venom powers and everything we see from the Venom movies. So you could theoretically, and I was thinking about this in terms of everyone now having forgotten that Peter Parker exists and is Spider-Man. That means Adrian Toomes the Vulture in prison no
Oh
longer has that
shit, you're
information.
right.
He no longer has that information.
You're right.
Also in that prison is Matt Gargan the Scorpion, and he ends up with the Venom symbiote in the comics at one point. So he's
Uh,
a contender. He's a contender, I think, because that'll be
no,
something
you're
different.
right. I don't
But then on
want
top of that,
that.
because of this multiverse shenanigans, Michael Keaton is in Morbius,
Yeah, they
and the
don't.
graffiti is of Tobey Maguire.
They don't explain that. If people who got this far in the review, if you were hoping they somehow explain that, they do not. They do not explain that. That dog is barking, and I wish it wouldn't.
He's just as excited as we are.
Nana is a girl, but yes, she is.
My
Mortis,
bad.
are you excited? Mortis is sleeping. He's not excited. He doesn't care. Okay. We're at an hour 19. Only
And we
50.
can keep going.
We can. What? Okay. Go. Think, brain, work. If this
I'm
is how the
glad
movie leaves you.
that the Lego set for Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness wasn't a huge spoiler because it's in the trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not Shumagorath, it's Gargantos. Another tentacly creature. Cool.
I don't know
At
if
least
that's
according to
Shuma.
the Lego set, that's what it calls it. It's like Gargantos attack or something.
It kind of looks like Shuma. It could be someone else. Could you silence the dog, please?
Mordo looks so cool with the long hair.
Oh, I love it. It looks more comic-y.
Yeah, the slightly different Scarlet Witch outfit with the sleeves.
I gotta just remind the rest of the world that we do not have the best quality by actively yelling about my dog. I don't know how much we want to talk about the trailer, but it does kind of feel... It definitely kind of feels like, yeah, no, you just had a really good experience. Here's the next one. And here I am like, wait, what? What do you mean the next one? You broke my damn heart. What do you mean next?
To me, I think I said it aloud. It's like, they Back to the Future 3'd it.
Where's the boy?
At the end of the credits, here's the trailer for the next one.
I mean, that is completely and utterly fair, man.
Although I do hope this doesn't become the precedent
Yeah.
or the commonplace. I want us to still have our unique to the movie, interesting end credit scenes. Don't just from here on out to here's the trailer for the next one at the end. Give us the stuff that we're used to and we enjoy. This was great as sort of a one-off.
I mean,
Give us the rest.
if the end credit scene would have been just the shot where Doctor Strange is walking through the trees and goes and talks to Wanda, that would have been enough. I like that the trailer happened more. I'm just going to be real about that.
Oh yeah. I also think I think that movie's going to do really well because of the success of WandaVision. People are going to want to see more of Wanda now.
Also, I can't really blame them for putting the trailer at the end because they had to know this was going to be very successful.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining at all. I loved that. I just hope they don't now do that for the rest of the movies going forward.
I think there should have been 3 after-credit scenes, because while I am excited that the Venom symbiote is now in the MCU, I'm also a little pissed that Tom Hardy immediately got thrown out. He didn't even get a chance to do anything.
Yeah, but again, that feels very in line with especially Venom 2 for me.
Yeah.
Just, that Venom went out clubbing with all the glow sticks and everything.
I should really go see that Spider-Man. Nope!
Oh, I love the line of and the big green guy, Hulk. And you think Lethal Protector is a shit name?
By the way,
I really warmed up to those Venom movies. They are so good.
This is the first Spider-Man movie to not end on an F-bomb. Yeah, the first MCU Spider-Man movie. And finally corrects the sins of the past. This is also the first MCU Spider-Man movie to feature a funeral, which I believe happened in
4 out of the 5?
Yeah. Spider-Man 2, I don't know if they had a funeral.
Spider-Man 2 ends with the wedding with Mary Jane running to Peter instead. Again, rewatching recently.
I know that Gwen and her dad's funerals are in both of their individual Spider-Man movies.
Yep.
I know Osborn and Harry's funeral.
At the end of the start and end of the original trilogy.
And you could theoretically make the argument that Mary Jane killed her wedding at the end of Spider-Man 2.
We never see We never see Jameson's son, the astronaut, again.
That's a very dark way to look at it, Jack, but yes, that's true.
Because he dies at the start of the first Venom movie.
Possible.
No, he does. He does.
Oh no, I know he does, but I don't know if it was that guy. I don't know if that was the Raimi verse. I hope
If
it
the
was.
Raimi Spider-Man's in the background of Morbius, and Michael Morbius in the trailer says, "I am Venom."
Morbius looks really good, but Michael Keaton is in Morbius. So what
Yeah.
the fuck is it? I don't know, man. Okay. If you have anything else to say it now, or forever hold your peace. Because while you say your shit, I'm gonna think. Because I know there's more I want to say. I just gotta find it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to just word vomit this and hopefully get everything out that I want to get out.
Vomit on me. I want you to.
Oh, Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme right now.
That was interesting to me.
It's like, yeah, Stephen's been gone for the past 5 years. Someone had to take up the mantle without him.
Well, here's the
Yeah.
thing, and this is why I found it interesting. In WandaVision, Agatha mentions that the Scarlet Witch's power will exceed the Sorcerer Supreme's. Was she talking about Wong, or was she
Ooh.
talking about Doctor Strange?
Ooh.
My dog is whining now. My brother isn't playing with her. Come here.
I took that to be sort of a, here's the here's the power level of the role of Sorcerer Supreme, and that will be higher than it. But no, in that trailer at the end, it looks like Steven is using a bit of that red chaos magic at one point.
It
Huh.
it also makes me, and also we gotta think which Steven, because
Yes.
there's two
Is that
now.
the what if?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Again, it was in one shot that we both saw for like less than 10 seconds, however many hours ago. How pointy was that goatee? What was it?
I was specifically looking for skin color because
Hmm.
Doctor Strange Supreme has gray
Looks
skin.
paler. It's not the same outfit, but like the Doctor Strange, the new outfit for that movie that the main MCU Strange is wearing is similar to it. It's got the pattern on it, the comic book accurate design.
I mean, rumor has it that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse Madness is quote Cameo City. So it really does seem like they're going to try to top it, which leads me to wonder what is the next Avengers movie going to be? Because I know it's going to be versus Kang. We know
Hmm.
that. But what does that entail? I just wonder if, like, everything going forward is multiverse. Like, what if Thor isn't giving his powers to Jane Foster? What if it's her from another dimension? What
Hmm.
if the Guardians are going to do multiverse stuff? I'm just saying, Spider Man just did multiverse stuff. I feel like it's not weird to assume that could just be happening in this phase on a
Yeah.
bigger scale.
I mean, the previous three phases spaced out was just after the Infinity Stones. So there's nothing to stop you going, okay, all these are going to have multiverse tie-ins.
It's
Although,
just,
because Kang is almost 100% the villain for, I mean, Loki season 2 and this next Avengers movie,
and
it
Ant
makes
Man.
me think that Ant-Man and the Wasp are going to lose.
I think there is a solid chance Ant-Man Quantumania ends with Ant-Man dying to stop one Kang. And then the after credit scene is Council of Kangs. There's like 12.
Hank Pym, maybe. I'm keeping my Scott Lang. You're not hurting my boy.
Dude, best part of the story needs to be the ending. I love you 3000.
Love you, 3.
Just saying, man. Just saying. Tony's
Again,
ending, Tony's death was part of the journey.
yeah.
Scott's death could be part of the Showing how badass Kang is.
True. I think I'll probably come up with other things as you talk, but go your final thoughts and
Okay,
Trevor will
okay.
get
I will
go.
give one of several final thoughts. It is unbelievable to me that after... I don't even know how many years the last movie took. I don't. Nana, it's okay. We're talking about the movie. It's okay. I don't know how many years it took. But these actors just came in and went, and we're back. And Willem Dafoe specifically seems like he got a chance to kind of get a redo at the character, and he
Yeah,
took it. That Goblin voice was like, it was so unhinged, because sometimes it was just like, Peter, and other times it was like, Peter, and he
yeah.
really played with that, and it was
I love
sadistic.
it was that interview that the villains did for that
Oh, I love
con or whatever it was, when they're all saying it's like, oh, it was. I took that as okay, yes, good for them. They're getting to come back to these roles with a new, renewed sense of vigor and all that. But no, they really took them in different directions.
Jamie Foxx would have the best costume if it weren't for Sandman, because literally Sandman's costume is the easiest costume in the world to adapt. It's literally just a shirt and pants. But I gotta give props to... They had the balls to give Electro the dumb head thing.
Hmm.
The dumb head thing that I love more than almost anything. And
In a good way as well. It was like the lightning forms it whenever he attacks, rather than having him literally wearing that. But
anytime somebody asks
they
me,
could have.
anytime somebody asks me, who is the best Spider-Man villain? My answer... Calm down. She's just excited to play with my brother. This was the worst time to do any of this. What I always say is it's Green Goblin. And the movies just really haven't done Green Goblin justice, you see.
Hmm.
Because Green Goblin is supposed to be this huge threat. This huge thing where you see him coming, you're supposed to be afraid.
Hmm.
And the reason it's like that is he's a combination of Lex Luthor and the Joker. He wants power, and he's going to use a crazed mind to get there. And it really feels like that's kind of what happened. He manipulated the entire situation, sometimes unintentionally. He got what he wanted at the end, even though he still lost. And even though the villains lost, the hero won. He still left a damn impact to where we don't know who Spider-Man is now in the MCU. He literally left a scar behind him. And that scene where he's just punching him through the building is nuts.
It's the thing of like, you kind of forget a lot of the time that yeah, Goblin has super strength.
They won't let you forget in this movie.
No.
It is wild, dude. Like, it was a very brutal fight.
Mm.
Yeah. You got more to say, man?
And then at the end, in compliment to that, you have Peter just wailing on him.
Oh, yeah. And I love how it's the smallest of things. But I love how fucked up Peter was when he was punching Norman in the face and he was just laughing. Like,
Yeah.
Peter seemed legitimately not to be handling that well.
Also, how much of that was Willem Dafoe doing himself?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
There were a few cuts where it's like, okay, that could be a stunt double, yeah. You saw his face in quite a lot of that.
Well, I have to inform you of something, Jack. Willem Dafoe made an agreement to be in this movie. And that agreement was, if I'm in it, I want to do all my stunts.
Awesome. Oh, good.
I read that on Instagram.
If that's the case, that's great.
Yeah,
Because I was surprised. I'm like, we're not doing a lot of quick cuts to hide things here. This looks like he learned the choreography and everything.
well, there's a lot of scenes where literally he's just picking him up and slamming him down.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And there's that great shot on the shield where the camera sort of follows them. So he picks him up, he flips over him to slam him back down. I'm amazed that we are, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Spider-Man movies in, and we're still getting these really creative uses of web slinging.
Oh yeah.
It's like, how have we not tapped this dry yet? How is this still going?
I'll contend that web swinging at the end from Tom Holland was great. Like where he's just wearing the new suit and swinging a couple webs.
Yeah.
That looked great. Really well shot. I still think Amazing Spider-Man has the best web swinging, because I don't know if you know this. They rigged up a, thing to a truck and actually had a man swing.
Yeah.
And it looks good.
And even then, I think Amazing Spider-Man 2, for, some of those sequences, just has the best CG for it as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, you want to know how good this movie is? We just talked about all of it without mentioning the Doctor Strange fight once. We didn't even bring up that they fucking go to the mirror dimension. Spider-Man defeats Doctor Strange with math.
He's thinking with portals.
He ditches Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension.
I've been hanging here for 24 hours.
I mean, you did it to Loki, dipshit.
Yeah, karma.
Oh my god. There's so many good scenes in this, and the fact that,
we have barely scratched the surface.
yeah. Our Spider-Man's plan is to, and we've already talked about this a little. Again, it's segmented and it's not structured well because that's what this movie deserves. Fucking Tom Holland's plan is to cure them so they can go back to their timelines and live. And he demonstrates this by curing Dr. Octopus, who, for the rest of the movie, is a good guy. The problem I have with this, and this is the problem when you put so many characters in one movie, I don't know if he got enough scenes. That bridge scene, totally Doc Ock's. 100% that's his I'm a badass scene.
Yep.
After that, we don't get much.
You get that, then you get that's his standalone awesome moment. You then have him and the rest of the villains bouncing off each other up until the Goblin turn, and they all sort of split up until they come together in the final fight. I think he got pretty much the same, because Jamie Foxx then has he and Sandman have that fight, and then they all come together, they all interact, they all split up, they all come back for the end. I think it's pretty balanced for them all, except for possibly Goblin, because he has that big extended fight in the middle.
Well, he's definitely the main villain.
100%.
I would say that for the most part, you could have done more with Sandman. I think they creatively used Sandman a bunch though, because it was Sandman's gonna fight one of the other villains. That's cool. Sandman is usually I can't even talk anymore. Sandman is literally using his power every time we see him because he's made of sand the whole movie. I just really would have liked to see him make his hands into hammers and stuff like he does in the comics.
Yeah. I feel like if he hadn't been helping Peter at the start of that fight, I think we would have, if we had more of him fighting Spider-Man. But instead it was team up for that fight.
Then giant.
And then he's in the fight at the end, which is on a massive structure, so he goes massive.
Yeah, and I can't get mad at him for going massive, because that's exactly what I want from the final act. It was just so cool to hear him speak, though, because, I had the same thought you did. I didn't think either of them were going to talk. I thought they were just going to be CG monster creatures for the whole movie. And no, they both have tons of lines.
Yeah.
And both appear physically, once each.
Which, again, was not like with Sandman. I think was they throw the device in and it goes off and the sand all falls away. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to do a reveal, and they do, and that's great. But then with the lizard, I was worried because they inject him and it just goes to a close up of his eye changing back, and then it cuts away. And I'm like, oh, is that it? But then they continue with the fight, and they look over, and you see him then shrink back into the actor and get close-ups of the actor. I'm like, I mean, they've got that Disney money, but still, they got everyone back. This feels like Smash Brothers. Everyone is here.
Yeah. I mean, there are some missed opportunities along the way. No new Goblin. Oh God, how will we
New
live?
Goblin. I know there is. I don't know the details. I'll look into it at some point. I guess there is some controversy with Dave Franco at the minute, or James Franco at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what it is. Don't know if that had anything to do with it at all.
Honestly, don't want him in it anyways.
Yeah, it's like I think there was a moment in the trailer where I was like, "Oh, is that him?" Where you see someone that's not got the helmet
It's just
on.
Goblin.
But then there was the reveal. There was like another trailer that showed Willem Dafoe without it. It's like, okay, so that's just him again. New Goblin wasn't in it. That's fine. As you said, didn't particularly want him, but we still got that bit of like, oh, my best friend tried to kill me. He died in my arms. It's still fully acknowledged. We're not ignoring it.
Gwen is still referenced. Oh my God, it just hits me the legacy they play with here, and they play with it so well. Rhino, once again referenced, does not show up.
Topher Grace's Venom referenced, doesn't show up.
Doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. Well, he did get referenced actually. So.
Which was my reminder. I think when that happens, I'm like, oh yeah, we haven't seen Tom Hardy yet. I didn't even notice.
Here's the thing. I love that's... And first of all, that means that eventually we're going to get dialogue from Tom Holland if these movies keep going where he goes, oh, ink alien monster. Oh, that's what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was talking about. Oh, this is bad. But
Yeah.
I also love the line of like, oh, well, I fought this ink alien. Oh, I fought an alien too. I want to fight an alien.
Yeah.
Andrew had
Which
some
then you
of
had
the
that
best.
bit in Tom Hardy's scene where he's talking to the guy. It's like, an alien who loves rocks. It's like, aliens do not love rocks. They're like eating brains and killing things.
I think here's the okay. This will be another one of my final thoughts, and then I'll get another final thought from you, and then I'll give my.
I was gonna say that
actual
first final thought was like
thoughts.
20 minutes ago now.
Yeah. This will be my second final thought, and then I'll give my final thoughts.
For those keeping track.
I think that scene with Toby, Andrew, and Tom all talking about the baggage that comes with the character of Spider-Man, all saying with great power comes great responsibility, talking about Aunt May, talking about Uncle Ben. Once I get this movie, I am going to watch that scene so many times. It's kind of like the Arrow scene in Hawkeye, where I watched that like 27 times because I was like, I like watching it. Here, there is 100% a future where I end up doing strictly character reviews, and that is because I love the payoff when characters get those moments, like what is in this movie. And the fact that these Spider-Men who have all of this baggage can look at this new Spider-Man who is just now developing some of that and tell him how to handle it while also still dealing with some of theirs. Like when Andrew started crying after he saved MJ, that was nuts to me.
I know.
Andrew Garfield is one of the best actors, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Also, this movie made me like Toby a little more because If you've been watching my streams, you know I do not have a high opinion of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. To quote myself, he's a little bitch and I hate him. uh, but in this movie, he kind of plays the role of like the old master who's been around and done this shit. Where, like, it's just really neat to see him hang out with the others and kind of look at Tom. I'm sorry, they don't give them code names or anything. I have to call them by
Spider-Man
the
1,
actors.
Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, but if you haven't seen the movie, you don't know who they are. And the order they chose was a little confusing. Tom is number one.
I loved that. That was the closest thing to shitting on Andrew Garfield they did.
Yeah.
Where they initially go, "Who's Spider-Man 2?" And they're like, "Okay, fine. Holland is 1, that's fine." But the two of them were like, "I want to be Spider-Man 2. No, I'm Spider-Man 2." And then he just resigns himself to, "Yeah, I'm Spider-Man 3. That's fine."
Well, the reason it was such a good scene is like, and it pays off at the end because Toby looks to Tom and goes, "Hey, just so you know, I've got the formula for Norman. We are saving everyone, right?" And at that point, Tom's already decided he's going to kill Green Goblin because what happened. And you can just look at the look. Like, how many times does Tom say, that's not my problem in this movie? It feels like almost every time he says it, Toby should respond, I said that once too.
Yeah.
And my uncle got shot.
There were so many little moments where it's like, that line, again, the Peter Parker. Little moments that are just not the exact line, but they have to harken back to it.
There's a response. I only know this because I rewatched the movies. When Otto and Spider-Man meet, like Toby meet for the first time in the Raimi films. Friggin' Ock says the whole brilliant but lazy thing. Peter replies, "Well, I'm trying to do better." And when they meet up, he says it in this movie to Otto.
It's like, I'm doing better, yeah, or trying to do better.
I wanted to see Otto hug him with those metal arms. God, and the fact that Tom could control the arms.
Yes, when he stole the nanotech, and it's like, oh, deadly upgrade. No, he's just like Xbox Connect controlling them.
I really liked the MJ stuff. I feel like MJ and Ned were very important to the story, very active in the story. It is arguable that without Ned, the three Spider-Men wouldn't have met in this story. Oh my god. Okay. Do you have any final thoughts before we get into our final thoughts?
There's one standout scene that I don't think we've addressed.
Okay.
Being Peter does not tell MJ and Ned who he is.
That is important. We haven't talked about that much.
I really like that decision. I was getting such Fantastic Beasts 1 vibes there, which ends with Jacob's lost his memory, Queenie goes in, you see, okay, he still has lingering memories of it, he's been like creative and designing his pastries based after the Fantastic Beasts and stuff. But he sees her, and he gets a wee twinge. It's like, oh, he remembers, okay, here we go. But here, they just don't. They don't at all. And he goes in with the intent of doing this, but ultimately decides not to tell them. And I think there's a lot of things you could read into that. And I really want to watch this movie again and again and again.
I literally said to my mom, "Hey, if you go to see this, just tell me, because I'm looking for excuses."
Yeah.
I will gladly go see this like 3 times. But yeah, no, in that scene, I was getting vibes of the first ever Spider-Man movie where Tobey looks to Mary Jane and says, "We can't be together." And then I got vibes of Spider-Man 2, where he literally goes, "Spider-Man will always have enemies." And oh my god, I just want to see. I have never been more scared and excited in my life because I want another Spider-Man movie. But if we don't get one, I'm okay with it, but I'm sad, you know? Like, I'm pumped
Yeah.
for Morbius in January. I'm really excited for that movie. It looks really good to me. And I'm very excited for Hawkeye to finish its run this next Friday, because I almost promise you we're going to get some sort of announcement about Daredevil after that.
Is it Friday or Wednesday?
It's Wednesday. I
Okay,
fucked up.
okay.
I said the wrong shit.
No, that's all right.
Oh my god. You're right. There's just so many different directions they can take this. Because, like,
I feel like
Spider-Man...
even if we don't get another,
Mhm.
even if we don't get another Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, he's still going to be in the MCU. He's still going to pop up from time to time.
I mean,
Almost certainly, I reckon.
I hate to be that guy, but if they wanted to recast him, I'm not going to complain. Like, don't get me wrong, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man we've ever had, and I think this movie proves that. But if it's the choice of Tom Holland comes back, Tom Holland gets replaced, or we never get Spider-Man in the MCU again, I know which one I choose.
Hmm.
You don't want to see that brand new suit in a full movie? That brand new beautiful suit?
I do, but I will be so disappointed if it's not Tom Holland in it.
Same, but like...
Like the What If episode is like it was trying too hard to be Tom Holland, but wasn't Tom Holland,
Yeah, see,
and I feel like they could. I feel like they could fall into that trap again.
I fell into the opposite of that. I thought he did great. I love that version. But
There were some lines and stuff that I thought were good, but overall,
my...
like
my
you're trying too hard. I thought.
That's fair. Okay. My final thoughts, because we're 9 minutes away from 2 hours. I mean, I have to go back to the non-spoiler review. It's everything you want this idea to be. You want to see the Spider-Men there in the movie. They get an amazing action scene. They get some good laughs together. They get the dialogue you want them to have when they're together. The
They
villains
talk about the web
are
shooters.
great. I love the talk about the web shooters.
Well,
Does
if
it-
it's too personal, you don't have to.
Does it come out
I
of
love that
other
that's the
parts of
moment.
you?
That's the moment that Andrew Garfield leaked behind the scenes set photos from.
Yeah, when they're talking about web block. I love the spider sense in this movie too, because if like, of course it was like very well shown off in Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man No Way Home. Do you want to say
Did
something?
you spot the Spider-Verse-ish reference comic book portrayal of the Spidey sense in this movie?
I did. Where they're like, I felt compelled to find this guy.
No, no. Well, kind of. I forgot about that, but no. When Peter's knocked out of his body in his astral form, he has that going off around his head the entire time.
I did not catch that.
He's got the little wavy lines, sort of like heat haze, just around his head that entire scene.
Well, what I noticed is the reason Strange couldn't grab the box is because the spider sense was protecting him.
Yeah.
And that's why Peter was just able to swim back in. Oh my god. But my final thoughts are...
Yeah, sorry.
Here it is. I went in... Spider-Man 3 had 3 villains. And that movie felt stuffed. It felt unsatisfying. And while there is good stuff in it, and yes, there's good stuff even in Spider-Man 3, there was not a satisfactory end to that story. In Amazing Spider-Man, you have a big cacophony of villains, actually. Felicia Hardy and Alistair Smythe are in that movie. But you mainly focus on, once again, 3 villains. Electro, Green Goblin, and squint and you'll miss it, Rhino. it didn't work because they tried for too much. And yet you get to this movie where they not only have 3 main heroes, 5 main villains, including a whole scene where he fights Doctor Strange, and arguably a 6th if you count that tree. I think that this movie is by far the best live-action Spider-Man movie. It gave me everything I hoped it would. It gave me everything I wanted. Is this the best death of Aunt May? I don't think so. Go play Spider-Man PS4. But it fit its purpose. It hurt me. And I'll say this, and this is what I'll end on. When Andrew Garfield showed up, everybody clapped. When Tobey Maguire showed up, everybody clapped. When the 3 Spider-Men first met, everybody clapped. When the fight scenes happened, everyone clapped. Every time someone was cured, everybody in my theater clapped. You know why? Because we fucking cared. And we were happy that we saw what we saw. That we got the experience we got. And I'm going to go ahead and say what I said when we got Loki. I don't know if we can get this again. However, I'm going to give a big asterisk now because we did get this again. We've had it with Loki. We've had it with Spider-Man. I'm going to say that this has the potential to be the best phase Marvel has ever done. And this is my brand of comic book, what they're adapting right now. Seeing Andrew Garfield talk to Tobey Maguire is something I never imagined would have been possible. And you get that in droves. They pop each other's backs in this movie.
It was so wholesome.
Spider-Man No Way Home is a 11 out of fucking 10, and as far as I'm concerned, it deserves every single second of that. It did the impossible. It delivered an amazing story. There's stuff to nitpick, but here's the thing. You feel guilty when you nitpick it, because the rest is so good. You're gonna go see it whether I recommend it or not, but even if you don't care about this version of Spider-Man, you should probably still go see it.
And let's be real, if you're watching this far from the amount of stuff we've discussed, you have seen it.
Yeah,
so go see it again?
I meant to say it at the beginning. If you watch the spoilers before you watch the movie, I have lost all respect for you. Like, if you can't help it, that's fair. But if you, like, choose to ruin it for yourself, don't. Don't do that.
No. As you were saying there with the rounds of applause, we must have had slightly fewer in my screening then. There was no round of applause for the villain transformations back, but there was an extra being the Matt Murdock reveal, which I feel like is gonna be. I feel like I've brought up a few times just because I'm so paranoid that it's getting lost in the shuffle of my brain with everything else that happened.
I mean, it is, for the record. Like, God, how do you do that? How do you have a Marvel movie where the surprise tease of the future is the thing we're talking about the least?
Yeah.
Ugh, it's fucking nuts. It's fucking
You know
nuts.
what my final thought is? My final thought?
What's your final thought, Jack?
Short but sweet. Having sat down and discussed this for the past 2 hours, changed my mind. This is an 11. This is an 11.
And you might change your mind again. But today...
If I change my mind,
Here's
I'm
the
still
thing.
a 10 out of 10.
Here's the thing. Look. If it didn't do the impossible, I would say 10. Because I think the quality of the movie is a 10. But it literally gave me something I've never seen before. And you can't beat that.
I didn't think you'd ever see.
I mean, imagine if we got a movie, which almost feels possible now. Imagine if we got a movie where Christopher Nolan, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, all are in the same film. You can't, can you?
Do you mean
All the Batman.
Christian Bale?
Did I say Christopher Nolan? Christian Bale.
Yes.
He directed.
Both. Put them both in it. Give him a cameo. There you go.
I'm just saying, it's really hard to imagine a universe where all the actors that played a character once can organically and very satisfactory fit into one movie together. And without... Here's the thing. If you don't have the villains from those movies, you don't have this movie. So, no. Honestly, this movie kind of uses the other movies as a crutch unintentionally.
You know what? I think I said this about Endgame and about the end of Star Wars The Clone Wars. I said, standalone, if you watched these just in isolation, if you just saw Endgame, if you just saw the final arc of Clone Wars, they're good, but they're not great because they rely so much on everything that came before. But then I think I realized when we were doing our Clone Wars video, that's a bit of a cop-out to say that. Because you should have seen this stuff. This stuff is so good, you have no excuse not to have watched the rest of Clone Wars in the lead up, to have watched the rest of the MCU and know what's happening and be so invested by the time. Because it's meant to be the payoff. It's the payoff for those that cared. For those who didn't and watched them just in isolation, that's their loss.
Yeah. And you know what's neat, Jack? The more I think about it, the more I think about the dialogue between some of the villains. The more I think about the dialogue of the Spider-Man. You don't need to watch the other movies to watch this one.
No.
They literally give you Electro's origin. They give you Electro's origin, they give you Sandman's origin. They talk about everyone's origin at least one time. To the point where if you didn't see any of the other movies, the only thing that's going to make you go, what? Is when they reference Thanos.
Yeah.
Look, dude, I just got to be real. I would give Amazing Spider-Man probably a 9.5 out of 10. This is an 11. I would give Spider-Verse. I don't know what I would give Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse is very good.
I'm thinking I have to give this an 11 now, which unfortunately sets the precedent of Spider-Verse and my other, what is still my favorite movie from this year. Do I have to give those 12s?
Well, here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, 11 doesn't mean perfect either. It just means that it has some significance that earned it beyond a 10.
Yeah.
So you could make the argument that, no, they're both still 11s, but this had more significance. I feel like eventually we're going to get to 15.
All those videos... It's like those videos people did with Tier Maker back in the day and still do now with the tier lists. Like, you arrange them by tier, but even within the tiers, you have your favorites. You still... I think that's the case.
I'm sure someone's going to ask, because they're coming out around the same time, if I like this better than Hawkeye. Look, I love that show, but yes, this is better.
Still got the finale to go.
Jack.
I'm telling you. If Tom Holland Spider-Man drops in on that final fight, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, I don't know, man.
Daredevil shows up in the final fight.
Kingpin?
I mean, I guess...
Who knows?
You know, you're right. But literally the only way it could get a 10 out of 10 for me is if they go, hey, everybody, season 2.
I need to stop myself, otherwise I'm going to be disappointed with the finale next week.
Yeah, no, it'll do its best. Come on.
Oh.
I mean, if Andrew Garfield pops up, I might give it a 11. Oh my god, my face is so red. Oh my god.
Yelena referenced the new Statue of Liberty in that last episode.
Yeah, that's not getting finished.
Well, no, that's the thing. This movie has like possibly the longest timeline from start to finish of any of like the Spider-Man movies, or even any of the MCU movies, I think. Because it starts directly after the last movie left off, which was sort of summertime, I think. I think you can get an exact date because when they go to Prague, there's that festival on, so we know when that happens.
I believe it was confirmed that No Way Home actually takes place after WandaVision. And it was confirmed because J.B. Smooth's character keeps referencing witches.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's... I don't know if that's official. That's just... I watch New Rockstars and he keeps saying that.
Fair enough. Eric Voss, you're doing the good work. Thanks, man.
Oh, God, he's gonna do one for this movie.
If that's the case, either way, I'm meaning... The movie starts then, and it goes through the college applications, the villains show up, and then it ends with all the Christmas decorations up.
Mm-hmm.
That's like most of a year.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So they do mention... we can get kind of a timeline. Because they mention at one point, sort of towards the beginning, the Halloween decorations need to be taken down.
Yes.
So the spell gets casted in November. Right? The spell gets casted in either November or December.
Hmm.
God, literally, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I want to see that blue Spider-Man suit more.
Yeah.
Anyways, ladies and gents, listen. Hawkeye was not in this movie 0 out of 10. That is it.
Have a good night.
Are we done? Do you have no more final thoughts?
No, again, we could keep going for another hour and just keep thinking of moments we've missed and talk about bits again and again and again.
Favorite villain? Who was your favorite?
Favorite? Sorry, repeat that.
Favorite villain.
Oh. I feel like I can't say Doc Ock because he's a good guy for most of it.
You can say Doc Ock if you want to. I'll give you Doc Ock.
I'm rationalizing here. I'm talking this out. Doc Ock, possibly. And he's got that great moment at the end when he catches them and then he rips the arc reactor off Electro. Goblin was so good in this. Willem Dafoe was great in this.
For me...
Then, okay, it's probably Willem Dafoe. It's the Goblin. But I specifically need to give a shout. The Lizard was so funny and so good in this as well.
Needed a little more action scenes, if you ask me. But yes, I agree.
You got a fair bit on the Statue of Liberty, I thought.
You got a fair bit, but I kind of wanted a full-on scene where he tears somebody. Like, I wanted him to rip someone's suit, you know?
Fair.
I will say my 3 favorite villains, because you said about 3 as well. Electro fucking nailed it. You had the right actor, Amazing Spider-Man 2. You just needed the right script. Loved Sandman throughout. Absolutely adored him. He was great. Would have loved to see the hammers, but I'm not complaining. I'm glad they got Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with you. That scene in the middle with Goblin.
All of Goblin. All of him throughout this. Again, I have to say it. I laughed so hard at... I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yeah, this is the first movie I can say I really liked Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see. And I did like the whole, if you don't mind the commute to another universe, I could give you a job.
Yeah.
Man, dude, I want to watch this movie again. That's how we know it's a good movie. You talk about the movie and it's a good one. I don't know where this is going to lie on my Marvel list yet. I'm just very quick going to take a cursory glance at it and just say where it could end up. Spoiler alert, it's in the top 5.
Yeah, I was thinking 100% top 10. Probably top 5.
Well, my top 5 is number 1, Loki. Number 2, Captain America First Avenger. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 4, Infinity War. And number 5, Age of Ultron. I'm just going to say it. It's either going to be number 2 above Captain America First Avenger or number 3 bumping down Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't decided which, but it is top 3 definitely for me. I don't know if it beats Loki. I gotta... Loki was like this, but every episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're at the end, dude. This is the... We talked about Spider-Man No Way Home for 2 hours and almost 10 minutes. Do we have lives?
Yes, and we have to go back to them. I have work in 11 hours, and I'm going to have to go there and not talk about this.
I have a friend who's been texting me this whole time and is like, "Are we gonna stream?"
I
Ladies
mean, realistically, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to open up Twitch and watch your Let's Play.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna eat something first. I gotta be real.
Yeah, here's the plug. Check out Kneale on Twitch. There you go. This is his channel. You probably already know that. I'm just crashing here. I'm the stranger.
Well, here's the thing. If you're plugging me, I gotta plug you, brother. And
Oh.
if you want to head over to Jack of All Trades, you can see some incredibly great reactions to My Hero Academia. Some good anime over there. And promises of future discussions.
Yeah,
Some top
actually, I'm
10
quickly
lists.
gonna shout. I alluded to it a few times. The movie that's possibly a 12 or a higher 11 than this that came out this year. That's got mine. As soon as this movie ended, I'm like, is this better? Has this dethroned it? To me, my favorite movie of this year. Spoilers for my list when it comes out at the end of the year. Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Oh, I've heard really good things about that.
From the people that brought you Spider-Verse and the people that brought you Gravity Falls.
I have not seen it yet, but I didn't know the people who did Gravity Falls did it.
Alex Hirsch is in it. It's Mike Rianda is the person who's directing this. His like directorial cinematic debut is this movie. The main character is an animation student. Is a girl who wants to get into college to do animation, and you know how Up makes everyone cry in the first 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I cried in the first 6 of this one.
You know, that is something to think about. This movie didn't make me cry, but it very
I was
well
close. Aunt May's death, I was close.
could have. I was very emotional this whole movie because, like, Spider-Man is just, like... Spider-Man is the reason I got into nerdy shit. Like, without the first... I hate the original Sam Raimi film now. But without the first Sam Raimi film, you don't have Nerdy Kneale. So, I owe a lot of who I am to this character. And this really feels like a celebration of the Spidered Man. Oh my god. And, you know, I might do a top 5 movies thing because, like... I just want an excuse to talk about Tick Tick Boom, you know?
Yeah, I get that's one of the ones I need to check out within the next 20 days before the end of the year.
I mean, if you're on an Andrew Garfield kick, maybe just carry that into the next film.
Yeah, I've got Monday and Tuesday off work. Plenty time.
Plenty of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please comment your favorite scene from the movie in the comments.
If it contains spoilers, make sure you say spoilers in the first 2 lines of your comments to let people know.
Please say spoilers first. That is true.
Thank you, please.
We have to end on a joke. I can't think of one. There are no more jokes.
You know, I'm something of a joke myself.
I hate you. I hate you so much. The Goblin hates you too. I'm just ending on this. Fuck you. Fuck all of you!